If you're struggling to lose weight and you need a little bit of help, you clicked on the right video. I'm going to give you my top 6 tips for speeding up your weight loss, making it a little easier for you. So before we go into the tips, I do want to preface this by saying that if one or more of your organs is not functioning optimally, it may actually impede your body's ability to lose weight. And let me just talk about that very briefly. So let's say that you've been eating not good food, garbage food, processed food, junk food, too much sugar. If you have a history of eating that way, or you're still eating that way, chances are it's going to impact your hormones, okay? Your hormonal producing organs. For example, maybe your thyroid or your pituitary gland or your adrenal gland or any of the other important metabolic hormone producing organs. And when that happens, very often you develop something called metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome is a group of symptoms that is created by organ damage in your body by poor eating. So metabolic syndrome can involve insulin resistance, too much belly fat, too much blood fat, high levels of blood fat, I said insulin resistant, fatty liver, and inflammation. Okay, and then when that's happening, it becomes more difficult to lose weight. You don't feel well. Maybe your energy is impacted, and then that leads to making poor food choices all over again, and you end up on this vicious cycle. So if you are experiencing something like that, you probably need some more individualized help, which I am an expert at helping people with, and I can help you. If you want to reach out to me for a consult, just look at the description of the video and click on my website and request a consult. So we can successfully help you with metabolic syndrome or hypothyroidism or insulin resistance, any or all of those things. So now let's just talk about why people have a tendency to be overweight, especially here in the United States. It may be true in other countries too, but I only know people here, so that's what we're going to talk about. As you probably know, there is no magic pill or magic weight loss program. If there was, I would be a millionaire. So we have to really talk about why people are overweight to begin with. And the simple reason is most people eat more food than they need to eat. So if you think about the way the world was before there was any technology, before there was indoor plumbing and electricity, refrigeration, right? You had to actually do work to get your food and to get your water. You had to do work to prepare your food. You had to do physical labor. You had to hunt and gather. You had to collect wood. You had to chop wood. You had to go carry buckets of water. Everything that you did required movement. So you were burning so many calories and so much energy just for survival that it was almost impossible to eat too much, right? And that was especially true for people in a situation where food was scarce. So now we have the opposite going on. Most people are just pushing a button or two or turning knobs and voila, there's food, or they're making a phone call or ordering online. Most people are spending a good deal of their time sitting, whether they're on a computer at work or whether they're driving or watching videos. I watch my videos standing up. I don't generally sit down at all. Very rarely do I sit down. So the combination of sitting a lot or not moving a lot Even if you exercise, let's just say you exercise an hour a day, it's still not biologically normal to sit the rest of the day. That our bodies have not adapted to technology. Okay, so we're still not moving enough and we're still eating more than we need. So many people eat more than they need just out of habit, just because they think that's what they should be eating. So for example, a lot of people eat sandwiches, or they'll eat like a hamburger on a bun, and that's 2 slices of bread, right? Most people do not need 2 slices of bread in a meal. It's too much food. Or for breakfast, they'll have a 2 or 3 egg, let's say omelet with 2 slices of toast. It's too much food. So the solution for that is cut your portion size down. So tip number 1 is see if you can cut your portion sizes in half without starving. All right. You need to give your body some time to adjust to eating less, right? In the beginning, you might feel uncomfortable about it. But I tell my patients all the time, if you're eating 3 eggs, go down to 2. If you're eating 2, try 1. And if you're eating sandwiches or toast, things like that, first of all, watch my bread video. Okay, so most breads are terrible for you. If you're going to eat bread, at least eat good bread, but don't eat a lot of it. It's really calorie dense, and your body doesn't need that much refined grain. It's just too much for most people. All right, so try a lettuce wrap instead of a sandwich. Try eating your hamburger with no bun. That's how I eat mine. I actually eat it with my hands. All right, so now tip number 2, stay hydrated. Thirst signals very often are misinterpreted by your body as hunger signals. So if you're feeling hungry between meals, first thing you should try to do is just drink some water, especially if you haven't had any, right? So if you started off your day with a caffeinated beverage, some kind of coffee or tea, which causes dehydration because of the caffeine, and you haven't drank water and you're feeling hungry, try to drink water before you actually eat. Tip number 3, you don't have to eat 3 meals. It's not a rule. And that includes breakfast. It is a myth that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. I mean, it is for some people, but it's definitely not for everyone. I do not generally eat breakfast. So my Dr. Cori rule is, if you're not hungry, don't eat. Or you can look at it the other way, only eat when you actually feel hunger. So when you start eating more nutrient dense foods rather than garbage, processed junk, and you cut down on your sugar intake, you'll be less hungry naturally, because you'll be feeding your body what it needs. So you can get away with eating much less. So intermittent fasting is a way of eating where you go for long periods of time without eating, which it is believed that is what our ancestors did before there was technology, because food wasn't always available. So in a 24-hour period, you would eat much less often. Like, for example, you would eat your first meal at noon and then your last meal at 8, and that's it. And so you'd obviously be skipping, I mean, your breakfast, your break fast would be at noon. And that's basically how I eat most of the time. This works well for many people in terms of weight loss. And you adapt to eating less. There's also studies that show that the less you eat, the longer you live. So it makes sense to me, again, because I think we're eating more than we need. Now, this type of eating will not work for people with hypoglycemia. meaning that your blood sugar is unstable and it drops sharply. So you probably cannot do this. That's something that can be improved, however, right? We can fix hypoglycemia. So if you're struggling with that and you need some help with it, I can help you with that. Just let me know. Okay. So now before we go to tip number 4, I just want to give a shout out to my truth partner, HATS Hardcore Awakened Truth Seekers, the most informative truth movement out there. Please join this wonderful organization to gain valuable information and be part of a real community. They have an online store with really cool items. They have really nice t-shirts and sweatshirts and tank tops and organic tote bag, coffee mugs, beach towels, stainless steel water bottle, and other cool stuff. I'm wearing their t-shirt right now, which I love. I ordered a whole bunch of their t-shirts. I'm waiting for more of them to arrive and for my coffee mug to arrive too, so I can drink from it while I'm doing my videos. I will put the links in my description. And here's another cool thing. Use discount code Cori Stern, all in caps, CORISTERN. This will also be in the description for a surprise discount on any purchases you make on their website. All right, so let's go on to tip number 5. Okay, so 4. Sorry. Okay, so I actually only have 5 tips, not 6. Sorry about that. Math is not one of my strong points, or numbers. So I just make mistakes with that stuff all the time, but it's still good information. All right. So tip number 5, we talked about quantity of food. Now we need to talk about quality, right? You need to choose your food wisely. If you're eating refined carbs or grains alone, it will more readily convert to fat and make you fatter. So first of all, carbs are high in calories. They're calorie dense. Now, vegetables and fruits are also carbs. I'm not really referring to them. There are some vegetables that are starchy and higher in calories, but I'm talking more about things like rice and bread and pasta, things like that. And the exception might be for vegetable potatoes or root vegetables that are very starchy. So when you eat bread or rice or potato by itself, it converts more quickly into sugar and then it gets stored as fat. But if you reduce the quantity, let's say you go, instead of eating a whole potato, you go to half a potato, or instead of 2 slices of bread, you reduce it to 1 slice. And again, don't forget to look at my bread video, because most bread is not good quality. And then you add some good quality, let's say butter, some good quality fat to your starchy carbs, you'll actually slow down the carbs converting into sugar, which will slow down them converting into fat. And then if you add some protein to the mix, you actually have a balanced meal. All right. So eating carbs alone or a carb heavy meal, unless it's a salad, and even with a salad, you need to put a little fat in there to make it more nutrient dense. So let's discuss different combinations of food, which it really is what a diet is what combinations of food you eat. So the first one we're going to talk about is called keto. Keto is a way of eating where you're taking in 65 to 90% fat, about 5 to 25% protein, and 4 to 10% carbs. So it's mostly fat with some protein and a little tiny bit of carbs. So this is a very popular way of eating. Some people do fantastic on it and lose weight. Some people don't. Some people gain weight. Some people feel terrible on it. All right. So there is no one size fits all way of eating. All right. So with my patients, we figure out exactly what is the best, whether it's intermittent fasting, whether it's keto, or, something else. So another style of eating we call paleo, which is mostly protein and vegetables and some good quality fats with little to no carbs except for veggies and a little bit of fruit. And that's how I eat. That's how I feel good. That kind of eating makes me feel good. And some people, all right, and the next style of eating that I'm going to mention is vegan. So some people find it easier to lose weight on a vegan diet, meaning no animal products. But if you choose vegan, you need to do some research on it, because you've got to make sure you're getting enough protein and vitamin B12. And, it can be tricky. So I've seen many patients who are vegans who aren't doing well with their health. All right. You really need to know what you're doing. I do have a video on protein. I'll put a link to every video I'm mentioning in the description. And in that protein video, I do talk at the end, I talk about some things in relation to making sure if you're vegan that you're getting enough protein. And then the last tip, number 5, I want to talk about a supplement that may assist with weight loss and fat metabolism. And that, sorry, I keep scratching my nose. My hair is itching me. That is called Coleus Forskolin, or also known as Forskolin. So this is an herb known as an Ayurvedic herb that helps to metabolize fat. It reduces weight gain. It can lower your blood pressure. It's a heart healthy herb as well. It supports thyroid. It can help with insulin resistance. It's good for people with metabolic syndrome. So again, it's not a magic pill, but I do use it for my patients who are struggling to lose weight and have some symptoms of metabolic syndrome. So it's especially good if you're struggling to lose weight and you have high blood pressure. So it will help you to reduce your blood pressure. So that's it for my tips. I hope that was helpful. So please, if you haven't had a chance to subscribe yet, please do it now, and make sure you like the video if you found it helpful, because it will help other people who need it to find it. And most importantly, if you know somebody you think this will help, please share it with them. That's why we do this, to help as many people as we can. Until the next time, stay healthy.